friends, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about all the books I would like to read for September and October. So there is quite a few that I have. It is a little bit ambitious, but I'm also taking a week off in September, so I should have plenty of time to read from my job. And also there's some other days that I'm taking off in October as well. So I'm really hoping I can get through all of these, especially because like a lot of them are going to be book of the month books that I get, because I really want to win beat the challenge. Because I just saw what the, if you beat the challenge, what you get this year, and it's a denim hat, and it's so cool. So I really am pushing to do that. So I have to at least read 15 of the book of the month books. And then I also have to do 3 of the prompts as well. So cross your fingers for me. I really want to get that hat. But without further ado, let's get into my TBR for September and October. So the first book that I want to read is obviously Reckless. I have been pushing this off partly because I've been reading a lot of like fantasy romance recently, and not that like I'm tired of it by any means, but I kind of needed a break. So I picked up some other books. Granted, what I'm reading right now is a fantasy romance, but it's really like tame. And so there's plot around it, and there's all kinds of stuff looped in the story. So it's not heavy and in my face. Which, I mean, granted, I absolutely love fantasy romance, but sometimes, you know, you read too much of it, you need a little bit of a break. But this, I'm super excited to pick up. I mean, I absolutely loved Powerless. So, I mean, part of me really wants to reread Powerless, but I'm probably going to wait and reread Powerless, and then after I read this, reread this when it gets close to the third and final one coming out. So super excited to pick up Reckless. This will be the first one on my TBR to get done, especially because it is pretty short. I'm a little disappointed that it's shorter than the first one, but I've also heard mixed reviews about it. I'm really hoping I like it, because the first one literally made me unwell. So here's to hoping. The next one I want to read is also a fantasy romance, but this is adult, and it is The Wren in the Hallway Library by K.A. Lindy. So I think I told you this was on my TBR like for July and August. Well, it got pushed. So I will be reading it September and October, partly because it's got kind of like, you know, library makes me think of books, and then books are definitely like a fall vibe for me. So really pushing like for fall vibe if I can, just because fall is my favorite season. My husband and I got married in the fall, so this, I mean, it's perfect. Plus, I also love libraries, and this is like an urban fantasy with a library. So I'm really intrigued because the premise is, and yeah, and if you've watched some of my other videos, you know what this is about. So I'm not going to reread the synopsis or anything, but just know I will read this either in September or October. It will get done. The next one I would like to read is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I apologize if I got that wrong. But this, I believe, is YA. I am not entirely certain, but it is a fantasy, but it's like Egyptian, I think. So I'm going to read you the synopsis, and it just, oh, I'm like really looking forward to this. So here is the synopsis. I want to apologize in advance if I pronounce these names wrong. Just heads up. Bolivian-Argentinian Inés Oliveira belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires. And like the rest of the world, the town is steeped in old world magic that's been largely left behind or forgotten. Inés has everything a girl might want, except for the one thing she yearns for the most: her globe-trotting parents who frequently leave her behind. When she receives word of their tragic deaths, Inés inherits their massive fortune and a mysterious guardian, an archaeologist in partnership with his Egyptian brother-in-law. Yearning for answers, Inés sails to Cairo, bringing her sketch pads and a golden ring her father sent to her for safekeeping before he died. But upon her arrival, the old world magic tethered to the ring pulls her down a path where she discovers there's more to her parents' disappearance than what her guardian led her to believe. With her guardian's infiltratingly handsome assistant thwarting her at every turn, Inés must rely on ancient magic to uncover the truth about her parents' disappearance or risk becoming a pawn in a larger game that will kill her. So, I mean, you've got a mystery, you've got old world magic, a potential love interest maybe, but anything like that, like, sign me up. So I am super excited to read this. It's been on my TBR for a while. I just have been pushing it off to read other things, but I've got a challenge to win, so we're reading it. And the next book on my TBR is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I plan to read another book by her this month. It is a little bit shorter, and it actually came out after this one, but this one, if you talk about fall atmosphere, it's this one. Super excited to pick this up. I will also read the synopsis for you for this one, partly because I forget what it's about. It's just, I just remember that it's all fall vibes, and what is better to pick up in the fall than a book with fall vibes. Emery Blackwood's life changed forever the night her best friend was found dead and the love of her life, August Salt, was accused of murdering her. Years later, she is doing what her teenage self swore she never would, living a quiet existence on the misty, remote shores of Theories Island and running the family's business, Blackwood's tea shop, herbal tonics, and tea leaf readings. But when the island, rooted in folklore and magic, begins to show signs of strange happenings, Emery knows that something is coming. The morning she wakes to find that every single tree on Theories has turned color in a single night. August returns for the first time in 14 years and unearths the past that the town has tried desperately to forget. August knows he is not welcome on Theories, not after the night everything changed. As a fire raged on at the Salt family orchard, Lily Morgan was found dead in the dark woods, shaking the bedrock of their tight-knit community and branding August a murderer. When he returns to bury his mother's ashes, he must confront the people who turned their backs on him and face the one wound from his past that has never healed, Emery. But the town has more than one reason to want August gone, and the emergence of hidden promises and deep betrayals spanning generations threatens to reveal the truth behind Lily's mysterious death once and for all. Like, I've heard raving reviews about this, so I am super excited to pick this up. And you've got a mystery, because let's be honest, we all know August didn't murder that girl, but who did? So you gotta read it to find out, and I am going to find out. Plus, maybe Emery and August will get back together. Who knows? but a town where the trees changed color all in one night, sign me up. So the next book on my TBR is actually one I just received in this past week because it literally just came out. It is called The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. This is a heavy duty book. Like, this is heavy, but I mean, the cover, gorgeous. And then you've got the sprayed edges, and oh, I'm just absolutely in love with this book. It's not too long, which is really nice. Oh, and the pages are high quality, everybody. But I will read you the synopsis of this one as well. And oh yeah, no, I mean, this is, let's see the cover. Oh. Nothing like spectacular, but still, I like that. I like it a lot. Like, they did a great job with this book, guys. Okay, here is the synopsis. The three kingdoms are at war, but Milen's father refuses to answer the imperial draft. Trapped by his opium addiction, he plans to sell Milen for her dowry, but when Milen discovers her husband-to-be is another violent, ill-tempered man, she realizes that nothing will change for her unless she takes matters into her own hands. The very next day, she disguises herself as a boy and enlists in her father's place. In the army, Milen's relentless hard work brings her recognition, friendship, and a growing closeness with Sky, a prince-turned-training partner. But has she simply exchanged one prison for another? As her kingdom barrels toward destruction, Milen begins to have visions of a sea dragon spirit who offers her true power and freedom at a deadly price. With the future of the three kingdoms hanging in the balance, Milen will need to decide whom to trust. Sky, who inspires her loyalty and love, the sea dragon spirit, who has his own murky agenda, or an infuriating enemy prince who makes her question everything she once knew about her kingdom and about her own heart. Ooh. So it sounds like this is like partially a Mulan retelling, or they're just using the Mulan trope, but sign me up. I mean, this sounds absolutely phenomenal. And if you look closer, like, that's a phoenix, I think, or some type of firebird. Like, I mean, I can't get over this cover. It is absolutely gorgeous. So then I need to get back to my Brandon Sanderson, everybody. I have been taking a break from him, and really before I read Words of Radiance, which is the second book in the Stormlight Archives, I really need to read his standalone book, Warbreaker. So this is on my list. I really need to read it. It is about 650 pages, but I mean, Brandon Sanderson, I read him so fast just because he keeps you engaged, and his writing is not difficult to understand. It's very, like, forthcoming. He doesn't write musically and his writing's not whimsical, which, to be quite honest, sometimes writers who write like that, it's really hard to understand what's going on sometimes. Not to say that they're a bad writer, but sometimes it's just, for me, too much. So I really enjoy reading by authors that have phenomenal writing, but you can understand everything. You're not like rereading sentences or paragraphs to be like, okay, what were they trying to tell me? Where does this go? So Brandon Sanderson, I read his writing so quickly, and he keeps you engaged. So he is just top of my list, favorite author of all time. But yeah, this I need to read before I read Words of Radiance. I mean, it's not connected, but it is, you know what I mean? Like, there's connections in all of his books, anything that has to do with the Cosmere, but they're not like connected, you know what I mean? But yet they are. So if you know, you know. But yeah, I have to get this done. So then, because I'm not going to get to it before summer is over, I need to read it. It's another Emily Henry book, and this has been on my shelf for a while, and I just need to read it. And I read Emily Henry super quick as well. And this is People We Meet on Vacation. So I've heard that this is really good, but I've been pushing it off because I want to read it during the summer. So the last several years, it's just like, oh, I can't read that right now because it's not the summer. Well, I'm doing it again. So I don't care when I read it. Maybe it will already be in the fall and I just want a trickle of summer again, and that's what we're gonna do. So I really need to pick this up. Plus, I mean, I gotta win my challenge, guys. And it's a book of the month book, so one step closer. The next book on my TBR, and obviously it's been on my TBR since it came out in February, and I need to read it because I think the third book is going to come out sometime next year. So, but this is Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. This is book 2 in the God Killer series. So I've kind of heard mixed things with it, that the first book was really good, but the second book kind of like lacks luster a little bit. But, you know, I'll let you guys know when I do my review on it, but I need to read this. It's been sitting at the top of my TBR for a while now. I just have been pushing it off to read other things, and I am not doing that anymore. I'm gonna read it. This will get done in September or October, and then you guys keep a lookout for a review on my channel about it. The next book is Starling House by Alex E. Haro. I've heard some really good things about this. It came out last year. It's kind of a gothic fantasy story, and I'm really excited to read this. Basically, the main character needs some money to help her brother, and so she decides to work at Starling House, and I believe the occupant of Starling House is still there. So there's mystery behind all of that, and so she gets knee deep in it, but it is a short little story, so I'm excited to pick this up, especially since there will be some long books that I will be reading. So I mean, this will be perfect. So it looks like it is only 304 pages. So that is actually like perfect. You know, probably get this done in a couple days, 2 to 3 days, I would say, as long as I can read at least 100 pages a day. But yeah, I've heard really good things about it, so I really hope I like it. I do like gothic fantasy, gothic-esque vibes, especially like later in October. So yeah, I just am excited to read this. And last but not least, it's probably not gonna get done in September and October, but I'm definitely going to start it. And that is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, the second one in the Stormlight Archives. Guys, I've been pushing it off because this is one of the biggest books I have. It's over 1,000 pages. And if you know me, I struggle reading more than one book at a time. The only time I can read more than one book is if I'm reading a fiction book and I'm reading a nonfiction book, which usually the nonfiction book doesn't get read as much as it should because I prefer to read the fiction book. But that's usually when I have 2 books at the same time. It's very difficult for me to read 2 fiction books at the same time, just because, not that I get it mixed up or anything, it's just I fall in love with one and then I completely ignore the other one. So I'm definitely a one fiction book kind of girl all at the same time. So when I pick this up, I will pick this up and there will be nothing else, and it could be weeks to read this. So I just need to go ahead and do it because I'd like to at least get 3 of the Stormlight Archives done, because like the 5th one comes out at the end of the year. Now granted, it's going to be the hardback, but I want the paperback because I have all the other ones in paperback. So I won't be getting the 5th one right out of the gate. I'm going to wait until the paperback gets published, which I'm hoping isn't too far after it gets published at the end of the year. But I mean, the Stormlight Archives, I'm going to go through 2025 reading it for sure. I mean, there's no way. So, but yeah, this is, I mean, it's 1,000+ pages. I'll tell you right now what it is. I just, whew, it is. It's 1,081 pages of the story. Then you have the Ars Arcanum, which is at the end of every book. So yes, this is just, I mean, this might take me a month. Of course, that means nothing else will get done, which is hard because I've got all kinds of books I need to read, and I've got more coming, and I don't have room anymore. I just, it's a dilemma. But there you have it, guys. That is my September and October TBR. Let me know if you've read any of these books and how you liked it. Also, let me know what is on your TBR for September and October. I would absolutely love to know. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and be good people. When you